for another episode of the Tech Informist. Let's begin. I'm Kevin.
I'm Brad.
And on this episode of the Tech Informist, we're going to talk about the Nintendo Switch.
The LG G6 finally launches in the US and Canada on April 7th.
Facebook is adding an easy way to find your local government officials.
Google says that version 57 of Chrome will help improve battery life on laptops.
And of course, app, entertainment, hardware picks, and the beer pick of the week. Welcome back, Brad. Episode 168.
We did it.
We did it. We took a successful week off. I went to Cozumel, got on a boat. Kind of did that backwards, but got on a boat, went to Cozumel, came back, and I've got a little bit of a cold, which many of you listening can probably hear.
I stayed here and got a cold all by myself.
See? Isn't that fun?
It's wonderful.
But first thing that we do want to talk about is I ended up buying a Nintendo Switch, which I kept secret for the entire time.
Yes, you did.
Which I might have even got my pre-order in before Justin. I can't remember. I don't know.
That's a very real possibility.
Very possible. But either way, you've had a chance to play a Nintendo Switch through Justin, because, again, friend of the show, Justin, bought one. I got one. The only game that I originally purchased was, of course, Zelda Breath of the Wild, because that's the game to have on it.
And you got it cartridge-based.
Yes, I went cartridge with it.
Which I don't blame you, because I think some of those bigger games, it would be almost a better idea to go cartridge-based.
Yeah, because if you think about it, this game, I believe, is about 13 gig on the cartridge. So 20, you've only got 25 or something like that left over after the OS install. There goes half my internal storage just with one game.
Yep.
So I'm like, no, that one needs to be a cartridge. And you get the box art and all that stuff, too. So.
Well, and that's what a lot of people were saying. They really enjoy a lot of the box art, and it seems that Nintendo has gotten rid of a lot of the manuals.
Yes.
So if you're kind of a person who likes their physical copies of things, again, I still love physical copies of movies for some reason, but it's really nice to see. I really like the packaging for a lot of the stuff that Nintendo is bringing out right now.
Yeah, so this was the first time that I'd gotten a chance to see one in person. And, you know, again, continuing on with like the Nintendo Classic, NES Classic, the packaging isn't sealed. There's like no tape anywhere, no tape on the box, no tape on the plastic bags that's holding everything. So it's like, I don't know if Japan has had a rise in tape prices or Nintendo's just saving a few pennies. But you open this up, I'm like, how easy would it be to return it and say it doesn't work right? Or that it's unopened. You can't really return something saying it's unopened because you can't prove because there's no seal to break.
That's interesting. I wonder if that's just a launch issue and that might change later.
I wouldn't think so, because with the NES Classics, when I got mine in November, it was the same way. And then when you got yours a couple weeks ago, it was the same way. There was no tape to be found on that either.
Yeah.
So I guess tape's just expensive for Nintendo. It's too rich for their blood.
Yeah. I don't know. It's strange.
So you're opening it up, and it's a little bit smaller. I think you kind of had the same thought that I did. It's like, this is a lot smaller than I was thinking.
Whatever you see in pictures, it really can't prepare you for how small it is. And I say that kind of lightly because it's actually not that small, but it is.
Right. When you're factoring it as a quote-unquote console. Granted, the majority of people are going to be playing it in portable mode.
Yeah, and it really depends on the game, too, because it seems like Zelda runs better in portable versus on a docked situation.
Yeah, I would kind of say so. My only little glitch with that whole left Joy-Con glitch that's still out there was when it was docked and I had the controllers hooked into the little controller grip that comes with it. That was the only time that the left stick was kind of making him want to run off a cliff, even though I'm trying to get him to go to the right.
Right.
Like, dude, are you trying to commit suicide? What are you trying to do here? You know, I haven't done that bad. But just the first thought, it's really comfortable, I think.
Very comfortable. Actually, surprisingly comfortable. It's such a weird shape. And again, it's a little bit smaller clicked into the little cradle than I was expecting. But overall, it feels really nice. The one thing I wasn't expecting was taking the two Joy-Cons off and kind of playing separated from each other in your own hands, kind of in a relaxed pose as they did in the stream. Mm-hmm. I kind of like it.
It is nice because, again, that's how I liked playing Mario Kart Wii, is nunchuck and Wiimote. I didn't like the little steering wheel. I don't like playing it with the GameCube controller. I just like riding the motorcycle with the nunchuck and the Wiimote on Mario Kart Wii. So it's kind of similar because you're just kind of doing your own little thing. But I think it's going to depend on what game it is that you're playing, how comfortable and the controls are with that.
Right. In my situation, I usually have a cat on my lap, so if I'm playing something a little more focused, it's kind of difficult with a Xbox controller, whereas with the Wii, if I'm using the Joy-Cons separated, it don't matter where he sits.
Right, you can have the controllers wherever. If you want to lay on your back and where your head or the TV's upside down, you can do that. However you want to play, just play. Do your thing. The kickstand is a little bit flimsier than I would like. Not that I've pulled mine off or anything.
The sound that it makes when you click it out reminds me of when you take the back off of the 3DS. It almost sounds like you break it, and I don't like that sound at all.
Right, it's a little... But overall, it's a great system. I would say it's well worth the current $300 retail price, not the scalper price.
Sure, it's above, your typical Xbox, PlayStation console right now. However, it does a thing that the other two cannot do currently.
Yep. I can't just take that Xbox with me and just start playing it in the car.
I mean, you can sort of do that if you already have a, $1,000+ laptop.
Right.
But it's not quite the same. Where this is its own, version, its own thing, and you can bring it anywhere you want, essentially.
I love the fact in the settings you have light mode and dark mode.
Oh, that makes me excited.
Yes.
Okay, good.
So that was one of the first things I saw whenever I was going through the settings and setting it up. I'm like, ooh, there's a dark mode. I'm going dark.
Click dark mode.
Right. So then you get a nice dark gray, kind of blackish look. I'm like, ooh, cool. Much nicer.
Yeah. I don't like that bright white interface on any device. It's too much.
Yeah. And I wish it really gave much more easier way to tell how long you've played certain games. You can go into your profile and see the last game you played and how long you've played it. Like I've played only about 11 hours on Zelda. So I just haven't really had.
Apparently that changes every week. So it takes approximately a week, from what I understand, for it to roll over the time that you've played throughout the week, and it'll roll over, and it should appear. It should be easier to find, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah,
but it's not as simple as you open up this and it's like, hey, you've spent 44 hours on it. It's like,
right. It's not like
the way you would expect.
Not like on, let's say, Xbox, where you go to your profile, you click on the game, and it's right there.
Time played. Mm-hmm. Da, da, da.
One thing I'm slightly kind of bummed is that they don't have any kind of achievement trophy kind of situation.
Yeah, nothing.
You would imagine, especially, this is true, you would imagine that by now that they would have been thinking about that kind of thing. Most games, it just rolls over to the next whatever platform it's on. It's just whatever it's called. It's like achievements on Xbox, trophies on PlayStation. I think it's even called achievements on Steam,
And maybe there's just something that'll come with the quote-unquote paid online experience when it really starts rolling out. Because obviously the online experience is not fully baked. They're not done yet.
Yeah, and that $30 price, well, maybe $30 price tag on Nintendo's online system.
For a year.
For a year. That's not bad. I could deal with that.
No, that will actually be really good. So I've got the Zelda game, and then I picked up 1-2 Switch, and I bought that digitally because it's like a 1-point-something gig download, I think. Yeah. Small. I haven't really had a chance to mess with it too much. Me and my wife tried playing it on the cruise, and she just got frustrated because I kept beating her at draw. I'm like, okay, so it's like, screw this. Do a little Joy-Con down and walked away. Like, okay, that's fine. I understand. And then we also played the Snipper Clips demo, and that is a very fun, quote-unquote, cute game that is great to play with a significant other, just to kind of partner up and try to figure out these little puzzles. And okay, you rotate and you spin your little character around and snip them, and it's just really fun.
Yeah, it's kind of the hidden gem, actually, of the kind of the launch games is snipper clips.
And it's only $20 for the full version.
And it's only $20. So I would really recommend that for people looking for a kind of cooperative game right now. Obviously, Mario Kart is coming out in April, I think early April.
I think it's later April.
Okay.
Either way, April.
Yeah, it's coming out in April regardless, so that's definitely going to be another must-have, especially for people who didn't have a Wii U.
Charging times on it have been fine to me from my experience. I've had no problem using my Anchor power brick and just a regular, I think it's just an Anchor cable as well that I've got with it. So
have you tried charging it while playing it?
Not with that.
Okay. I'm curious about that because from what I've heard over, various channels is when you're trying to charge while playing, it doesn't quite charge. It just sort of trickles down a little slower.
Yeah, it just slows the roll. It just trickles instead of just
I wonder if
out.
That is due to an incorrect amperage or voltage that you're running the power to. Okay, so you would imagine that if you're docked on your dock station and you're playing at home and then you go to pick it up, I hear it's not always fully charged, but at the same time, it's also not running the battery down all the way. So I'm just confused a little bit.
Since the display is not on, it's going to help in that regard.
That's true.
Like I said, charging seems to be fast. And like they said, like they quote unquote warned us, if you're playing something as intensive as Zelda, your battery is going to drain faster. And it doesn't take much to get it down into that 50 to 40 range from a full charge. You're like, whoa, that was... Every time you check, you're like, wow, I've lost 15, 20% here, 15, 20% there.
However, I hear a good thing from Zelda is, I believe somebody from GameSpot might have done this, but they ran it down playing Zelda, just wiped out the battery just to see where it would pick up and how much time he lost. And he really didn't lose much time at all in his save. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, because it will do like a quick auto save.
Before it runs out of power.
Yeah. So like you said, you don't really lose too much time.
But I'm excited to get one eventually. Funds are tied up. It's, just all kinds of stuff going on right now for me personally. So I will definitely be looking into getting one soon. Don't know when soon is, but soon.
Yeah. It wasn't really something that I had planned on getting right away. Whenever, the pre-orders were live, I'm like, well... We'll see, because they went live fairly early on like Amazon that day. And wasn't it like a Sunday or some weird day that the pre-orders went live in January?
Oh, I don't remember. I remember they did their event, and then the next day they did a live event. So it might have been that Thursday or
Saturday.
Friday.
Yeah, I think it was like Saturday or something. I don't remember.
Know.
Either way, I just hopped onto GameStop on my phone, and I'm like, yeah, we'll see. They said pre-orders were available. I'm like, okay, so let's go ahead and keep going as far as it goes. I'm like, all right, so it looks like I can actually pre-order this. And I went with just the regular gray Joy-Con set. Like, the neon just wasn't really doing it for me.
Yeah, same.
Picked the launch day shipping, so it was like an extra $15 to get it day of. And then on the way home that Friday, I stopped and picked up my Breath of the Wild at GameStop in store because the game wasn't going to ship same day. I could pick it up in store. So that's how I got that. And then I wasn't even going to play it that night. Then this things kept dragging. I'm like, okay, I'm going to open it up, take a couple pictures of opening, unboxing, we'll say. It was nice.
The unboxing of new devices has to be one of like the most fun things. I just love doing that. It's like getting a new car. You're just going through all the nooks and crannies of this new thing that you just got.
What does that do?
You're spending all your hard-earned cash on something that you don't necessarily need, but hey, it brings you a little joy. I super love when companies take attention to detail on their boxing and how they package it, and it sounds like Nintendo kind of did that.
Yeah. Oh, it was packaged, in my opinion, very well, even though I'm curious as to why the display was only protected by just that thin piece of cardboard on the top.
Oh, goodness. being a plastic screen instead of glass, which you can buy tempered glass now for them.
Right.
So I would highly recommend that.
Yeah, I ordered a Skinami screen protector. I went with the matte finish just to have something to throw on there whenever I first got it.
Yeah.
Put that on there. Yeah, there's a couple little bubbles because I'm not the best at putting on regular little rubber, plastic, whatever screen protectors. But then Super Shields, I noticed the other day, finally has released or announced that they were coming out with their tempered glass. So I ordered that from Amazon. That arrives probably late March is when I should have that.
Yeah, that's the one I would go with. I really like that brand.
Yeah, they've always done good with me on the phone, so I'm going to stick with the Super Shields brand and put that on there. Let's see. If anybody has any tips about how to get the Joy-Cons off a little easier, or the little strap piece of plastic, get that off a little easier. I mean, I know I'm putting the little controller strap things on the correct way.
Right, because if you weren't, you would know.
Yeah, you would definitely know. They say people are breaking their Joy-Cons trying to pull those things back off because they've put them on the wrong way. But it just seems like you push the button and the things don't release as easy as it looks like it's going to do in the videos.
Or as easily as it coming off the system.
Exactly. So it's not like you can just... You need two hands, one to push the button and kind of grab the Joy-Con, and then the other hand to push down on the unit itself so it doesn't come back up with you. Maybe that's just mine. I don't know. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. I don't know. We'll see. So I'm curious if anybody out there bought one. What did you get? And what do you think? And stuff like that. I'm very happy with it. Look forward to spending more time with it.
Especially now that you're home.
Now that I'm home and kind of get back in a little bit more regular routine. I don't know. It's really, again, Zelda. It's just a beautiful, I'm not even really going through my quest. Just now getting to one of the villages because I get sidetracked. Like, ooh, I see bright shiny over here. So I got to go over there to figure out what it is. And then it's like, oh, cool. But paragliding or whatever, the little glider, that is fun. And then the little, taking the little bombs, because you get either the round or the square bomb, and you can throw the little red bomb or the round bomb down. And the physics, I mean, the bomb lands and it rolls and right to those Moko Goblins or whatever they are, and then just blows things up.
Speaking of physics in that game, I heard of an instance, kind of lets the player know like what that world is about. And essentially, they were playing a part of the game where they wanted to swim out to this island in the middle of a lake, but they didn't have enough stamina to get there. So they climbed the hill, chopped down a tree rolls down the hill into the lake, so now they can swim out to the tree, get on the tree, wait for their stamina to get back up, get back off the tree to get to the middle of the lake. Anything that you think might work in that game does.
Possibly can, yeah.
It's incredible. It's not earth-shattering when it comes to open world. However, when it comes to, again, the physics basis of this game, like anything you think may work will work, is crazy to me. It's like the first time playing Grand Theft Auto 3.
Right, you're
or
like, wow,
Mario
this is
64.
pretty cool, being able to just go anywhere, essentially.
Yeah. And, my car, when it takes enough damage, it'll explode. And you can jump out of cars when they're moving. And just crazy things back 17 years ago when that game came out.
Yeah, some of the animations of hopping on and hopping off of the horse is pretty cool.
Well, and overall, the art direction of Zelda, I absolutely love it because it will stand the test of time, whereas your hyper-realistic games right now won't.
Right. I mean, just go back and look at 8-bit Nintendo games. Like, it didn't really hold up that well.
Well, and it's even an art style in and of itself these days. So a lot of 8-bit, 16-bit, and such. But to that, I mean more of like the Call of Duties with their hyper, in quotations, hyper-realistic whatevers. You know, in 10 years, they will look pretty old.
Yeah, it's just, the Zelda game, it just looks really good. The controls are really smooth and fluid. Just, I don't know, it's just tough to really compare it to anything else. I just enjoy playing. It's a great experience. The motions, the different weapons, and chopping the first tree down so you can go across this little kind of ravine. Like, that was pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah, I really like, again, attention to detail. That's what Nintendo's about.
Yeah, I'm like, how the hell am I going to get over there? And the old man's telling me, I need some help chopping down these trees. And it's like, oh, okay. Now I get what you're trying to say. And you get over there and you're like, oh, there's really nothing I can do. But you can tell that there's a little something in the side of the cliff that if I had a bomb, I could probably blow that up. Sure enough, after you go back and you figure out your bombs, you go back over to that little area. Because again, this is where you're getting sidetracked from your main mission because you're like, ooh, there's this one thing I did want to go to try now that I've got this. And
I'm so looking forward to that.
yeah, I think because this will probably be the first Zelda game I think you've said you'll have ever really played through.
Well, I'm starting to think that I might start, Ocarina of Time on my 3DS because I'm borrowing a copy of Justin's. Because from what I hear, it doesn't play like any Zelda ever. It breaks the mold actually a little bit, and Ocarina of Time is kind of one of the highest regarded ones.
Yes, I would say before this it was the highest rated.
So it's kind of like, man, I think I really should start with that one. So I might actually do that.
And I did see somebody share a screenshot of Link on a horse in front of a spot in Hyrule, and there's this like little stone tower here, and there's like like you've got this wooden fence. It's got like the little stable opening, the little wooden opening. And then there's a certain point in Breath of the Wild exacts that you see kind of like, oh, okay, because now the fence is all worn down and this is kind of destroyed. Like that was a nice little touch. So there's a lot of little things that if you're really a fan and have played through a lot of these games, you're going to, this is definitely Hyrule. There's no getting around it. It's Hyrule. So it's really neat. Being able to catch fish and with your bow and arrow and all these pitchforks and spears and just the bow and arrow archery aspect of it is really, really cool. Being able to shoot these goats and boars and birds and all these other random little things. I could just go on and on talking about that game, but I won't. But again, like I said, if you got a Switch, let us know what you think and what game may it take for you to want to get one. If Zelda wasn't the game that sold you on the device.
The correct answer is Metroid.
I don't know about that, but
please.
there's a lot of people that say, please, Metroid, please, Metroid. So we'll see. As we mentioned at the top of the show, and this is also a device that Brad is really looking forward to getting his hands on, LG G6, United States, Canada, April 7th.
It's finally coming.
Earlier.
Yeah, it's
carriers.
Finally on its way. Going to be talking with our Verizon rep probably next week as we get a little closer to launch, and going to see if we can't get one beforehand. Because, well, I'm really, really looking forward to this phone. It's got everything that I need / want, minus a few things, or really just one. But it's fine because it adds more, so.
Yeah, it seems like the early opinions and reviews are favorable. I think probably one of the biggest gripes might be the battery life. I think that's what Michael Fisher, a.k.a. Mr. Mobile, kind of said in his review was the battery life left him wanting a little bit more.
And that's understandable. It looked like it held about a 22-hour, charge for using it throughout the day, which for me, plenty. Again, it's more than what I got now, so can't be a bad thing.
But if you're taking a lot of photos with that fancy schmancy camera,
yeah, I don't know.
It'll kill your battery pretty quick.
I guess that's why they made Quick Charge.
Quick Charge, yes. So it's looking very good. It's going to be, again, supposed to arrive on April 7th in the United States and Canada on a variety of carriers. And there are so many different deals that's going to be available with the LG G6 from carriers, including, I think pretty much all of them are going to give away a Google Home unit.
Yeah, and that sounds like that's an offer directly from LG. I would imagine that those won't run out as quickly as maybe some of the other deals, including the one that you sent me.
Yes, which is like a crazy deal that once I saw it, I'm like, get out of here. No way are they giving away this.
So first off, It's launching on Sprint for $708.
Which is a little higher than some of the other places, I think.
You know, okay, I get it.
But when you factor in what they're possibly giving away, it's like, I can pay a few extra bucks.
Obviously, you get the Google Home, but you also get a 49-inch LG TV, which, regardless if it's crappy or not, it's a free TV, and hey, I could use an extra one right now.
And their Google Home offering is through May 11th compared to LG's original end date of the program, which is April 30th.
Really, if you're on Sprint and you're kind of thinking about an LG, maybe you should think a little bit harder because you could get a couple free things out of it, really.
Right. That's just, I mean, a 49-inch television, just here, buy a phone. Get a big old 49-inch TV. Obviously, you're not going to be walking out of the Sprint store with that television. It'll probably have to be some kind of mail-in thing.
I'm sure it is, which, again, I don't need it day of. I don't even know if I can get it due to how things are set up for myself. But I'm going to try.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive, just the whole idea of being able to get that. I mean, I thought just getting a Google Home unit was, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And those are about $100.
And then now it's like, oh, hey, we got a TV for you. Wait, what?
It actually had me kind of getting the wheels moving a little bit. It's like, how could I manage to pull this off? And just buy it on AT&T. I'm not going to switch to Sprint for
to get the
TV because we're good on
Well,
TVs.
If you want to, I can hook you up.
You do know a person that can get me all signed up and everything. If ever there was a time to make a jump to Sprint, that would kind of be definitely the time to consider doing it.
Also, I did see, I think, a side-by-side of the G6 versus a Pixel XL, and it is kind of incredible having like the same screen size and yet how much smaller it is.
Yes, yeah, you get more screen for
how little it is.
For how little it
and,
is.
Oh, that makes me excited.
Yeah, it does look really nice sitting next to other devices based on images and videos and stuff we've seen so far.
Also, keep in mind here in the US that we only have two choices of color, shiny black or shiny silver.
Yeah, I would go with the black.
Yeah, your listeners know I'm so over silver. Please leave forever.
Bye-bye, regular just silver. Needs to get rid of it.
But that's only if I have a choice. If I don't have a choice and I get one for free, I'm not going to complain.
No, you definitely wouldn't complain about that. So we'll see. If I'm curious, I mean, again, it's something that has got my attention to where maybe I will sell my 6P. I don't know. Maybe get that as my Android device.
Yeah, maybe.
Thought about it. I really have thought about it.
Guess we'll find out when we get our demo unit, right?
Yep. Definitely. So, listeners, what do you think? Are some of these deals kind of enticing you based on some of the early reports coming out about the phone that maybe LG's got it figured back out again that, hey,
just make a nice phone.
Yeah, it's going to be a nice phone. It might be a little bit more outdated CPU, but is that really the end of the world?
And we even discussed this a few episodes ago. It's not by much, and it may even be negligible.
Right.
For your needs.
Is like Michael Fisher said in his review, he didn't really find himself wanting that 835 power. He was perfectly fine with the 821. He's like, yeah, it's good enough for me.
And also launching a month earlier than the Samsung, does that factor into your choice as well?
Yeah, it definitely gives you a few extra weeks to see it sitting on the shelf while you debate spending a couple $100 more for a Galaxy S8 off
That's
contract.
Another thing. It is cheaper than
significantly cheaper
than the Samsung. So
yeah,
all kinds of choices to consider.
Choices.
So Facebook is adding a wonderful feature for those of us who are more interested in politics nowadays. And that's an easy way to find your local government officials, which I think is super important, especially on a platform like Facebook.
Yes.
So essentially, all you have to do is go into your Apps tab and go to Explore. And I actually did this last night. And go all the way down to the bottom of the list, and there should be a little Explore tab, and you click on it. You go to type in your address, which obviously they don't share to anyone on your friends list. Don't freak out. And then they tell you who the governor is, who your representatives are, all of those things, where to find them, whether they be in town or on the internet. And I think it is a really, really important thing. It doesn't matter what side of, the fence you're on politically. I think it's really important, though, that we all participate, because that is the way that a democracy works.
So by entering in my home address, it said it found 8 of my representatives on Facebook. I just did that while Brad was talking about it. So it has my Missouri State Representative, my state senator, my governor, my United States Representative, U.S. Senator, Vice President, and President.
I believe you're in District... Are you in District 1 or 2?
I do not know. It doesn't say on here. I don't live directly in St. Louis. So.
Right, so I would imagine that you would be District 2 just because you're live a little further south. But anyway, it is a really welcome addition, especially, we keep hearing about fake news. But there was a quote that I liked that one of the NPR people said that goes a little something like, if it's being reported as fake news, it's not news because it's fake. So... maybe take that into consideration. If it is a fake, in quotations, news story, then it is not news. We need to separate these two things. They're dangerous, but that's for another podcast. I'll stop.
Alternative facts. I mean, it's entirely up to you whether or not you want to do that and really connect and follow your elected representatives. And it's a personal thing if you want to or not. I don't know if I'll do that. I mean, I might not use that feature. Again, I don't know. And I also saw where there's like a jobs board kind of section in there too that you can like see jobs or something. Haven't messed around with that too much, but it's also kind of down in that same section in the desktop version. Mm-hmm. The last bit of news that we want to talk about today is Chrome 57 has been updated on Mac and Windows PC.
Now that's what I call Music 83. Oh, I'm sorry. 57 just sounds ridiculous.
Oh boy, here we go. So Google says that version 57 of Google Chrome will help improve battery life on laptops. I think that's kind of been the running joke. So you've got Internet Explorer's running joke is the fact that it's only used to install Chrome or Firefox. Uh-huh. And Chrome is pretty much one of those that just kind of eats your battery because it's not very efficient. So what Google says they have been able to implement is the fact that even if you have a bunch of tabs open, that it will kind of be able to intelligently determine, okay, those tabs aren't really being used. There's no audio, no video being played in the background. So it doesn't need to devote the same amount of resources to those other tabs and websites the way that it's devoting to whatever tab you have open. So it says it will delay timers to keep the average CPU load under 1% of a core in order to save power. And like I mentioned, if a tab is playing audio or has a real-time connection like a video, it won't be limited.
Oh, good. So those pop-up videos will ruin my battery.
Correct. Theoretically. So Google says, according to their testing, that new policies on the background tabs has initially led to 25% fewer busy background tabs, and that ideally the Chrome team hopes that web developers will adjust their behavior to rely on the new APIs for service workers to do background tasks rather than simply forcing a tab to stay active. The end result, both in the short and long term, is longer battery life when using Chrome. So that's a good thing. And I did update my Chrome to version 57 today on the Mac. So mine's updated. It doesn't just auto-update. You've got to eventually close it once in a while. And sometimes just check. Just hit those 3 little dots in the top right corner. Or just go to Chrome and Preferences and stuff like that. And hit the About button there on the left and check your version. See what version you're on. If you're still in the 40s, you're way behind. Time to update. Next up, I believe this is a little bit shorter episode. It's app, entertainment, and hardware picks. And we've got a couple things on here. One's a movie, one's a game, and one is about comedy. So, Brad, start us off.
So I relatively recently just watched Trumbo, and that's a 2015 movie with Bryan Cranston in it.
Like a flying elephant?
Not quite.
Not quite.
Almost same era, though.
Okay.
But it is set in 1947 during the blacklist in Hollywood. And I don't know a lot about history. I'm not a history buff. I will never claim to be one. So learning a little bit more about the blacklist was kind of fascinating, along with being a entertaining movie. I can't say that I highly recommend this movie or it's a must-see, but it is pretty good. And if you want to learn a little bit of what was going on in that era, it's kind of fascinating. So
1947 is the year that my dad was born, so that kind of definitely makes me want to see it just based on that. The fact that Bryan Cranston, Diane Lane, and Helen Mirren are in it also make me want to see it because I believe they are all three fantastic actors and actresses. Almost anything with Bryan Cranston I would want to see. And I also see that Louis C.K., Elle Fanning, and John Goodman play roles in this film as well.
They do. I think John Goodman's like one of the best parts of the movie other than Bryan Cranston.
Okay. And I like John Goodman. I mean, he is a St. Louis.
Lately, he has been fantastic in quite a few movies.
Yeah.
What was it? 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yes.
Really good.
Oh, he played a really good bad guy.
Really good.
It's like, oh, this is pretty cool. Yeah, he was really good in that film.
But yeah, not much to say other than it's kind of a biography, kind of drama-esque movie. It's rated R. On IMDb, it's 7.5 out of 10. That's really not that bad.
No, it's pretty high rated. 2 hours and 4 minutes for this drama. Next up, we have Capcom's Disney Afternoon Collection. This is a game that's going to be coming out sometime in April, I believe, and it's going to be available on the Xbox One, PC, and PlayStation 4 for $20, and this includes 6 Nintendo games. So, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers 1 and 2, Darkwing Duck, DuckTales 1 and 2, and Tailspin. So it's not just the same games repackaged. They've also thrown in a couple new modes, Boss Rush and Time Attack. That's going to be offering a little bit of differences based on what you might remember from the old NES games. Boss Rush lets you tackle a lineup of bosses one after another, so it's kind of like a little stamina, while Time Attack lets you compete for the fastest time in completing a level. And there's a new rewind feature that lets you jump back in time and recover if you miss a jump or make an error, which is very frequent on games like DuckTales and Chip 'n Dale's, because it'd be a little bit of a challenge. Platforming on the Nintendo was kind of hit and miss with some games. The one glaring omission is obviously the Nintendo Switch, where these games originally launched on the Nintendo Entertainment System. So come on, Capcom, get with the times. This is a perfect place to release this game. It would sell like hotcakes for $20.
Heck yeah.
So like
download that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And shoot, it'd probably be under a gig.
Yes, it probably would be. So you get all the game's visuals. They've been updated to support 1080p resolutions, and just like with the NES Classic. So again, there's a lot of little things here that point that it would make sense on the Nintendo Switch about filter options that let you feel like you're playing on a CRT or the lines and pixel perfect and yada yada yada. See, I'd be all over this. It looks really, really good. And like behind the scenes storyboards and stuff like that. I think it'd be really cool. I would be all over it.
Also in April, not in the show notes, just a side mention, the spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie, Yooka-Laylee, is coming out in April.
Ooh.
I'm extremely excited about this game.
And what all systems does this come on?
Everything.
Everything.
Switch, the
Really?
One, PS4, PC, everything. All at the same time. So, get ready.
Get ready. So for all you Dave Chappelle fans and Netflix subscribers, by the time many of you hear this on March 21st, Dave Chappelle will be returning to Netflix with essentially what is 2 comedy specials. Watch the trailer. I'm ready.
Oh,
I'm ready for this.
Really?
It's looks like it's going to be pretty dang good. It's good to see Dave Chappelle make it a return.
Yeah.
Because it's been so long. I mean,
it has.
There really hasn't been a whole lot that he's done since he kind of just stopped Chappelle's show suddenly because they wanted to take the show in a direction he didn't want to go in, yada, yada, yada. So he kind of fine, done.
Well, it's kind of like Key and Peele. They kind of stopped at the height of their career as well, and that may have been for the best, really.
Yeah, don't overstay your welcome.
Yeah, that's Showtime is so guilty of doing that.
Oh, God, yeah.
I am excited that he is coming back, and for how long, we don't know, but just having those two out on the table is great.
Yeah, if you have not seen any of Chappelle's show, one skit that I will definitely suggest you watch is the blind KKK leader who just happens to be black, but since he's blind, he doesn't realize it. It's just hilarious. So it's like, how do you...
And also, I just love that because he's the guy who he is, he can do these skits about current events and even events that didn't happen yet.
Yes.
Like saying, oh, there'll be a black president in, the White House, and this was years before that even happened.
Yeah.
And it's funny. It's great.
Yeah. So Dave Chappelle returning to Netflix March 21st. And it just kind of goes along with the fact that Netflix is really putting in a lot of money and effort into comedy specials.
Well, they better for that extra $1 I pay per month now.
Yeah. And I was listening to the Ron White interview with Joe Rogan on Joe Rogan Experience podcast. And they were kind of talking about that Ron White was approached to do a special. And he's like, I don't know if I want to come up with enough content for this. It's like, I don't know. So he might end up doing one, which would be fine to me.
I'm sure if they throw him enough money, he would.
Yeah, why not? But we'll see. Either way, stay tuned. March 21st, Dave Chappelle. And now it's time for Beer Pick of the Week.
Again, I don't typically choose a brew that is hard to get, but this one may be hard for folks to get unless you live in the St. Louis area. And by that, I mean the Australian Pale Ale by Stubborn German Brewing Company. For those of you who know me as a beer connoisseur, as it were, I love Galaxy hops. They are made in Australia. That's the only way. It's where they're grown, and the only way this beer can taste how it does. It is a pale ale through and through, brewed with Galaxy hops, two of my favorite things slammed into one. Oh, it's so amazing. Pale ales are very light. They're crisp. And some people would say, well, they just smell / taste like beer. And really, that's what they are. They are very simple, but refreshing.
Yeah, I would like to try this. I still need to go to Stubborn German. You always seem to go when it seems like I'm not available. So maybe one day you'll take me and I'll get to go.
Yeah, we should definitely go very soon.
Yeah.
It's actually a small little place in my hometown of Waterloo, Illinois. For those of you in the St. Louis area, I highly recommend checking it out. It is, unfortunately, the only brewery there currently in operation. The other one had a fire accident, and they are working on fixing that.
Yes,
so
getting put back up.
It is a 5.6 ABV, 40 IBUs, and has about a 3.83 rating on Untapped. I think I gave it like a 4.5 because, again, those Galaxy hops, I love them.
Yeah. So it's only got 28 ratings because, again, it's a small local craft brewer. It's not a big old facility.
And they literally just came out with it, so.
Yeah, I believe it was added on February the 7th. So it's a little over a month old.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely something to be on the lookout. And, I mean, I can throw out the fact that whenever we got off the boat in New Orleans to start heading back, we made a quick little drink stop just north of New Orleans. And I picked up a 12-pack of Yingling because, well, you can't get typical Yingling lager
in St. Louis.
Just everywhere.
Right.
So I'm not going all the way south and not getting some. I just had to grab a 12.
Yeah, that's
even
fair.
Though it was about 11 o'clock in the morning, almost noon, and I still had about 8 hours to drive. It's okay.
Yeah.
They all stayed in the trunk. I did not drink and drive. But good boy.
Well, I guess that does it for this week. There just wasn't a lot to talk about.
No, just the fact I think that I'm still trying to get back into a working swing of things. And
We're both sick.
This head cold, that just, just trying to catch up on everything else.
Also, there just wasn't a lot that caught my attention. Yeah. There's a lot of in-game things happening per game. Like Destiny's got something going on. Gears has got something going on. But I don't know. I don't want to keep bothering people with those games. They're not super new and fantastical, as it were.
Yeah, I'm sure there were some things in there that we missed. So if there's anything specific that you may have felt that we did miss, we'd really love to hear what it is that you thought was interesting out of the last nearly 2 weeks, since it was the last time that we were able to talk with you all. Let us know whether you want to send us an email to contact@thetechinformist.com or just hit us up on Twitter @TechInformist, @KevinHarvell, @Holy_Shadows. We're all there. And I'm going to be slowly putting more and more of my photos from the trip on probably my Instagram, which will also get
a good place for
shared out to Twitter.
Other various.
Well.
Yeah.
I'm Kevin_Harvell there, just like Holy_Shadows.
Yep.
So on Instagram, I am Kevin_Harvell. So follow me there and be on the lookout for some more of those wonderful photos, because the iPhone 7 Plus did a fantastic job.
I have been having a few funny sodas, as it were, on lately, so I've been sharing those out on Instagram as well, along with other things I find interesting. So again, Holy_Shadows there as well.
Yes, so again, that does it for this week's episode of The Tech Informist, and we will be back again next week, and hopefully not feeling so and we'll have more things to talk about. So until next time, consider yourself informed. We're out.
Cheers.